Tonight, we're going behind the scenes with a man who's behind one of the biggest hospitality groups in the country, including many new fine restaurants here in South Florida.
During Miami Race Week, Mario Carbone is tackling one of the biggest parties of the week, one that goes on for 4 nights and has a huge price tag. Here's CBS News Miami's Lisa Petrillo.
So the first thing we do is we add, this is a black truffle aioli.
We're making carpaccio piedmontese here in the kitchen with restaurateur and acclaimed chef Mario Carbone. It's been a little more than 2 years since we first met him at his namesake restaurant on South Beach, not long after they opened during the pandemic. But he says this location was a plan in the works well before COVID. Still, in January of 2021, restaurants everywhere were shut down, and Miami was just opening for outside dining.
The whole world was in a place of unknown at that moment, and, you know, as a company, we had no idea that we were about to make this giant change ourselves.
In fact, Major Food Group, the hospitality group he owns with 2 other partners, are behind some of the most celebrated restaurants in the world. But it's New York where it all began for them, and that's why Mario tells us Miami has always made absolute sense.
One, Miami is obviously a sister city to New York, so there's always been a ton of fluidity between what we did in New York, our friends here in Miami, our customers in New York coming back and forth. So there was no fear because of our relationship and our home base's relationship with Miami. It was like, okay, let's do that.
In the short span since Carbone Miami Beach opened, they've experienced incredible growth with many of their brands here.
We have 11 in South Florida.
11 in South Florida. Yeah. So it's right under New York.
It's right there with New York at this point.
Carbone attributes that growth to Miami's major art scene.
I think we were part of that big arts movement and boom period. And then certainly just the energy of the city, the energy of the people. It's just one of the great places in the world to live, and to be part of that, to affect that in a positive way has really been amazing.
And what they do is high-style glamour from the decor to the music and food. A throwback, he says, to mid-century 1950s and 60s, first-generation Italian-Americans.
The food is very much rooted in the food that was created by the immigrant here, and less so the original recipes of Italy. And then from there, it all sort of, you know, the music and the fanfare, the pageantry, all comes out of that period.
It's an event. It's not just a dining, not going to have some pasta, some veal. It's an event.
Dinner is the show.
Dinner is the show.
And this year they're back for the 2nd year of Miami Race Week with another full-throttle glam dinner show called Carbone Beach. They're teaming up again with American Express for a 4-night supper club beginning Thursday in a tent on the sand, priced at a whopping $3,000 a person.
It's basically dinner for 400 guests, sort of grand theatrical Carbone experience, even more magic, even more tricks up our sleeve than we do here. And then a headlining performing act, plus all sorts of other musicians and things that keep people very, very entertained throughout the course of the night.
Miami is at that level where we can sustain you having 4 nights of 400 people under a tent at that price tag.
It does seem that way.
But that is a tribute to also what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, we're taking the sort of idea of dinner is the show and just amplifying it into an actual show. So it's actually, for us, feels like a seamless extension of what we do.
Carbone Beach is on Thursday through Sunday, May 4th through the 7th. There are limited tickets still available, believe it or not. And as for this brand, Mario tells me they plan to grow much more in the future right here in South Florida. On Miami Beach, I'm Lisa Petrillo, CBS News, Miami.